Have you ever wondered what triggered the most devastating war in human history? The roots of World War II, a conflict that would consume millions of lives, were planted in the ashes of its predecessor, World War I. At the heart of the spark that ignited World War II, we find the Treaty of Versailles. Signed in June of 1919, the treaty was supposed to bring lasting peace after the Great War. However, it sowed the seeds of resentment, especially in Germany. The terms of the treaty were harsh, demanding Germany to accept full responsibility for the war, surrender territory, and pay massive reparations. These conditions crippled the German economy and stoked a fire of anger and a thirst for revenge. Amidst this atmosphere of bitterness and desperation, two ideologies began to take hold: fascism in Italy and Nazism in Germany. Both were born from the chaos of post-war societies and were marked by a thirst for power, a disdain for human rights, and a drive for expansionism. In Italy, Benito Mussolini capitalized on the unrest to establish a totalitarian regime, while in Germany, Adolf Hitler and his National Socialist Party exploited the public's discontent, promising to restore Germany's former glory. The final spark that ignited the war was the invasion of Poland by Germany. Hitler had signed the Non-Aggression Pact with the Soviet Union, secretly agreeing to divide Poland between them. On the 1st of September 1939, Germany launched its Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War, against Poland. Despite valiant efforts, Poland was unable to withstand the onslaught of the German forces. The invasion marked a clear breach of the Treaty of Versailles, leaving France and the United Kingdom with no choice but to declare war on Germany. Thus, the stage was set for a conflict that would engulf the world. The seeds of resentment planted by the Treaty of Versailles had grown into full-fledged ideologies of hate and expansionism, leading to a war whose repercussions are still felt today. As the world plunged into darkness, alliances formed and the battle lines were drawn. In the early days of the conflict, two major alliances emerged. On one side, the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, united by their shared goal of territorial expansion. On the other side, the Allies, primarily the United Kingdom, China, and the Soviet Union, later joined by the United States. Their common aim was to stop the Axis's march of conquest. The war, initially concentrated in Central Europe, soon spread like wildfire. Germany, under the command of Adolf Hitler, launched a Blitzkrieg, a lightning war, against Western Europe. Belgium and the Netherlands were swallowed up in a matter of days. France, thought to be impregnable behind the Maginot Line, fell within 6 weeks. The swift and brutal German advance left Europe reeling. Across the Channel, Britain braced itself for the inevitable. The Battle of Britain had begun. Day after day, the Royal Air Force clashed with the German Luftwaffe in the skies above Britain. Though heavily outnumbered, the RAF defended their homeland with a courage and determination that echoed around the world. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the United States had maintained a position of neutrality. That changed on a quiet Sunday morning in December 1941. Japanese forces launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The devastation was immense. The next day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt called it a date which will live in infamy, and asked Congress to declare war on Japan. In response, Germany and Italy, as Japan's allies, declared war on the United States. The U.S. was now fully engaged in the conflict, marking a significant escalation in the global scale of the war. A world at war, nations and peoples torn apart, the very fabric of society under threat. The grim reality of global conflict was becoming all too clear. But in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of hope. As the world held its breath, the tide of war was about to turn. The war was not a one-sided affair, and the turning point was about to come. Indeed, the tides of conflict were about to shift dramatically. In the icy grip of the Russian winter, the Battle of Stalingrad raged on from August 1942 to February 1943. This was not just a fight for a city. This was a duel between two titans, a struggle for the very soul of the Eastern Front. The German army, once seemingly invincible, found itself trapped in the jaws of the Russian bear. The relentless Soviet resistance and horrifying conditions ground the German assault to a halt. This marked the first major defeat of Hitler's war machine, a turning point where the tide of war began to turn against the Axis powers. Yet, on the other side of the globe, another turning point was brewing: the D-Day invasion, or Operation Overlord, in June 1944. This was the largest amphibious assault in history, a daring gambit by the Allies to open a new front against Nazi Germany. The beaches of Normandy echoed with the roar of gunfire and the cries of the brave. The invasion was a success, signaling the beginning of the end for Hitler's Third Reich. Finally, a new dawn broke over the Pacific, casting a horrifying light on the final act of the war, the dropping of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. The devastation was unimaginable, an apocalyptic vision of fire and destruction. It was a clear message to the world about the terrifying power of nuclear weapons. Japan's surrender shortly after marked the end of World War II. In the wake of such destruction, the world had seen the true cost of war. A cost paid in blood and tears, in shattered cities and broken lives. Yet from these ashes, the world would strive to build a better, more peaceful future. The echoes of this conflict continue to resonate today, a stark reminder of the horrors of war and the enduring hope for peace. World War II was more than just a series of battles. It was a turning point in human history. It began with a spark, a series of political and territorial conflicts that ignited the globe in a blaze of warfare. As the war spread, it enveloped nations far and wide, indiscriminately consuming resources, lands, and lives. The turning point of the war and its end was a testament to the resilience and determination of humanity. It marked significant events that shaped the world as we know it today. The consequences of the war were far-reaching, shaping the geopolitical landscape and leaving indelible marks on societies and individuals alike. World War II was not only a historical event, but also a lesson. A reminder of the devastation that can be wrought when diplomacy fails and conflict takes over. As we remember the past, we must strive to ensure that such a catastrophe never happens again. Remember, history is not just about the past, it's about understanding our present and shaping our future.